much for being with us.
Shabbat Shalom. I have a confession to make. The Star-Spangled Banner makes me cry. God Save the King does not make me cry. Rule Britannia does not make me cry, but the Star-Spangled Banner does. And that was true before I became a citizen of the United States on the 14th of September last year. Thank you. And it's still true now. To celebrate my new status, I went on a trip to Washington, D.C., first time I've been there. And one of the first things I did was the Monuments by Moonlight tour. And I discovered a landscape of aspiration. I looked up at the craggy face of Abraham Lincoln and I saw conviction. I stood at the stone feet of Martin Luther King and felt his tenacity. I let the twinkling mosaic that is the reading room of the Library of Congress dazzle me with possibilities. I stood in the gathering dusk within the silent circle of the World War II memorial and was reminded that there is such a thing as honor. And I understood, maybe for the first time, the true meaning of the phrase, lofty ideals. All are created equal. There are self-evident truths. There are inalienable rights. And most of all, there is a structure to hold them called democracy. All of those wishes, all of those dreams conveyed by that immense, iconic architecture. But over the past years, I have been exploring what it means to be a new citizen of this country. I am seeing those very ideals coming under threat. The buildings are still standing in Washington, D.C., but the foundations are being attacked. I'm thinking of the cosmology of the flood, Noah's flood, that we read this morning. The enterprise of creation was a mastery of the waters of chaos. The divine pushed them upwards above the rakia, the barrier of the sky, and confined the other waters downwards to courses within their own great depths and laid the earth over them like a crust. But with the flood comes the utter destruction of that fragile order. The upper waters breach through the sky to meet the lower waters that gush up from below, and the earth returns to its original state of chaos once more in a horrifying act of unmaking. Creation's only defense was the ark, a wooden craft about the size of the latest Viking Mississippi cruise ship. In other words, big enough, but not enormous, waterproofed with bitumen inside and out. Bitumen is black in color. No oars and no steering apparatus because, as Ibn Ezra darkly observes, it wasn't going anywhere. A box floating on, as Donna Barbanel teaches, below the surface of the waters of chaos, creation's last hope, a black box. And yet, somehow able to navigate the chaos of 371 days where it was impossible to distinguish between day and night, where the outcome was not known, even though we know that the flood ended, living it forward, Noah and his family and creation would not have known that. But there was an agony of waiting. The rising waters of chaos and the ark that will save creation are a powerful way to understand today's reality. As we sense that what we have been taking for granted as fixed and reliable as the earth and the sky is being ripped and torn apart. We wake every morning on the brink of a complete unknown, of an outcome that, for all of our measuring and our skill in predicting, we have no way of knowing. We are battened down, waiting beneath the waterline, and there will be more waiting to come. So we have to look inside the ark of creation for something that will sustain us. What can this black submarine with no periscope and no compass possibly offer us? It has two gifts. First, it wasn't dark inside. Rabbi David Kimchi teaches that Noah kept lamps burning around the clock to feed and sustain the animals. A midrash describes how he never slept because every animal needed different food at different hours of the day and night. Somehow, while the chaos was raging outside, Noah managed to grow into the name his father had given him, Noach, the bringer of comfort. And I think of Anne Frank, another precious soul confined in a tiny space while the world fell to pieces outside her windows. And somehow, even from there, on July the 15th, 1944, she wrote these words. It's difficult in times like these. Ideals, dreams, and cherished hopes rise within us, only to be crushed by grim reality. It's a wonder I haven't abandoned all my ideals. They seem so absurd and impractical. Yet when I look up at the sky, I somehow feel that everything will change for the better, that this cruelty too shall end, that peace and tranquility will return once more. In the meantime, I must hold on to my ideals. Perhaps the day will come when I'll be able to carry them out. Sooner or later, over the next week or two or a little more, our ark is going to come to land, and sooner or later we will be emerging into a new reality, and we have no idea what waits for us. Maybe we will love where the ark ends up, but maybe that landscape will break our hearts. And this is where we also need to break the pattern of Noah's story in the Torah. He was so worn out by his experience that he had to be ordered out of the ark. And when he did, he turned towards the earth that he had missed so much, and he dug into it with his hands, and he planted a vineyard because all that he was capable of was oblivion. And he went on after the flood, after he came out of the ark, to destroy himself from the inside in a way that the flood had not been able to do. And this is why his line does not last. It does not last because he himself could not find a way to continue. And we must not fall into that trap. We must engage with whatever new landscape we are going to encounter. We must bring out of the ark with us the gifts that kept creation alive. We must keep the lights on. We must make the choice to remember what it means to comfort and be kind, and beyond the efforts to sow division, beyond any remnants of chaos that will still be swirling to be stirred up and reawoken, there is our shared humanity, and we must look after each other. And we must remember that even if there is chaos, and even if there is cynicism, and even if there is bitter disappointment, we still have ideals. We must continue not only to dream of equality and liberty and life, But we must work to achieve them, whether our environment favors them or it does not, whether our leadership is a leadership that upholds them or dismisses them. We are the agents of our own choices when it comes to upholding our ideals. We must carry them out of the ark with us, and then we must carry them out. And I think that's what really makes me cry about the Star-Spangled Banner. It's not the tune. The tune is impossible. It runs over an octave and a half. It's not even that intimate in public gesture, that beautiful gesture of laying the hand over the heart. What makes me cry about the Star-Spangled Banner is what it does to the group of people singing it. There is an expression that comes over their faces, and instinctively they raise their eyes and they look up. I bless us this Shabbat as we wait in the unmaking for what our new landscape is going to reveal, with the compassion to comfort creation, with the strength and the ingenuity to uphold our most lofty ideals, and most of all, with the gift of looking up. Shabbat Shalom.